What's up, guys? Sean4103. I come back after another video. Today, we are going to be breaking down another trailer, but this time it's the Incredibles 2 Olympic sneak peek. So it's not really a trailer, it's a sneak peek, but I'm going to count it as a trailer because it's longer than a minute long. Longer than a minute long. Wow, that's weird. So basically what we're going to do, like we've done before, if you haven't seen my previous trailer breakdowns, you can go check them out, link in the description. You can watch if you want, if you're interested in that kind of stuff. If there's any other trailers or movies you would like me to review or break down, leave a comment down below. I will check them out. And basically, the Incredibles 2 movie, I was very, nervous about them making, because I heard they were making a whole bunch of sequels for their older movies, like Finding Dory and Incredibles 2, and I was really concerned about Incredibles 2 because, for those of you who don't know, The Incredibles, the very first one, is my favorite movie of all time. Like, any movie I've ever seen, live action, animated, doesn't matter, Incredibles is my #1 favorite movie. It's just got everything I love in it. And when I heard they were making a sequel, I was nervous because usually sequels don't do that well. Like, if you watch, in my opinion, Toy Story 2 is way worse than Toy Story. I think Toy Story 2 is the worst Toy Story. I'm sorry I said it. Go ahead, kill me. But yeah, basically I was super nervous, but from the trailer, it looks really good. The animation has definitely been updated, but that's obvious. So that's really good. The voice acting, they're all the same, except for Dash and Violet, but that's just because their voice actors are like 20 years old now. But they sound super, similar. They sound exactly like the kid actors that they had in 2004. So, anyway, without further ado, let's just break down the trailer for Incredibles 2. So, for those of you who don't know, this movie starts off right where the first one ended. If you haven't seen the first one, I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's my favorite movie of all time. One of the best. But at the end of that movie, we saw the Underminer come up from the ground, and right as the Parr family, or the Incredibles, were coming from Dash's track meet, where Dash came second place. So this movie picks up right from there, and then the movie stays from there, so it's still back, it's an older-ish movie, so there's nothing modern in it, so that's one thing that they are keeping, and I'm really glad, because I really wanted to see the Underminer fight. And it's cool that they got John Ratzenberger to do it, but obviously, because John Ratzenberger has voiced a character in every single Pixar movie, which is really cool. I really like that. But yeah. And then we see Bob inside the Underminer's, I guess, his vehicle, like the giant drill that comes up out of the ground. And we're gonna just keep picturing this scene, because I think I have not a theory, but I guess ooh, excuse me, sorry, I drank a whole bottle of Dr. Pepper before this video, not sponsored, but I wish I was. Anyway, I have a prediction on when this scene takes place, so we're just gonna keep going.
You heard your mother, trampoline me.
So that's our first shot of the parking lot they were in at the end of the movie, where the entire family they're all in their costumes now, even little Jack. Which is adorable, because look at him. Look how, oh, I just realized he's reaching for his dad. Aw. But yeah, if you watch the original Incredibles, if you listen to Violet's voice, the voice actor that they got sounds just like the kid voice actor from 2004, and I love that. Later on you'll hear Dash talk, and he sounds just like him. The only problem I have with the voice acting is, but I think it's just the animation, because the animation is updated. The voices, they don't really match, and the voices are fine, they make sense, that I get, but I think it's just the animation that's throwing me off. Even Frozone, my bad, Frozone, his voice has Samuel Jackson, and I know his voice because he's in Avengers and Pulp Fiction. By the way, all great movies, again, go check them out. And he sounds different to me because of the animation. But anyway, I digress, and we're gonna continue, and we just see Bob bounce off of Ellen. I think it's Ellen. And I think this is a really cool scene, because at the end of the movie, the first movie, we realize that, oh wow, all their powers can be used together as one, and I really like team up moves like that, like in Age of Ultron. If you guys saw that movie, Thor hit Cap's shield and it made like a shockwave. which was really cool. I liked that. And even in the first Avengers, where Iron Man shot a laser at Cap's shield and they killed a whole bunch of aliens. And I just really like stuff like that, so I'm glad that they're doing that. Although it looks like that. And then we see the Underminer suck Bob into a tube. So I think my theory or prediction about that is Bob shows up and he goes, "So we meet again," which either means they fight twice in this movie, or they fight or they have fought before, like before the first Incredibles movie too. Either way, that's really cool. But I think Bob gets sucked into the tube, and then he shows up. Like, this scene happens. He goes in. He's like sucked in, and then we go back to this very first scene where Bob is looking at this breach. I think these scenes are they are flipped just to kind of throw us off, I guess. Or maybe this is from the first time that they fight, or the second time they fight, and this scene is from the first or second time they fight. Either way, really cool.
Superheroes are illegal.
And then Helen or Ellen, I think it's Ellen. I'm gonna say Ellen. She tells us that superheroes are illegal, so they are still illegal, which kind of makes sense because they were still kind of illegal at the end of the first movie, but they do it anyway just because superheroes are needed. And this is also the first time we hear Dash speak, and if you listen again really closely.
We want to fight bad guys. I never see bad guys. It defines who I am.
We're not.
He sounds just like the original voice actor, and I love that. Disney and Pixar are really good with that. Like, even if you watch Finding Dory, Nemo was voiced by a different character because the kid originally he's like 20 years old now because it's been so long. But he sounds the exact same, and I love that. Pixar is great with doing that. You also got Jack Jack doing some gibberish, which was adorable. This is like the first time we've heard him speak, I think. Well, attempt to speak. But we see Dash, he's like, he quotes something from TV.
Fight bad guys. I never see bad guys. It defines who I am.
We're not saying you have. What?
Someone on TV said it.
And I just love that because you always, I feel like there is some point in your life, you're always sitting with your family and you say something that's like really out there and your family's just like, wait, what? And then you're just like, oh, I heard it in a movie somewhere. And it's so funny. And then this one.
Baddest tycoon wants to talk about hero stuff.
Now, this scene is kind of throwing some people off because if you remember in the first movie, Frozone was like sort of against superhero stuff because now it's illegal. But in this movie, he's really into it now. And you might be saying, oh, but Sean, he was fighting the Omnidroid in the first movie at the end. Yeah, but that's just because he had to, not because he necessarily wanted to. He needed to, because he knew that the city would pretty much explode and die. So you get this, which is confusing because, again, Frozone wasn't really into the hero stuff because it was illegal, but now he's back in it. Some people think that he was brainwashed by the bad guy, who I will get to later on. And I also, really, I don't know, I find Bob's face right here really weird, but because he's like, I don't know, his eyes seem too sunken in. But that I'll get over that just because it looks so good anyway. And
Help me bring supers.
now we see Devtech. We see Elastigirl getting back in, or Ellen getting into this Devtech plane. And if you don't know what Devtech is, then it's basically this guy right here. We'll see in the next shot. This guy, he is the one that calls upon Elastigirl because he feels like he wants to bring superheroes back into the sunlight. I think I skipped some of that, but
Help me bring supers back into the sunlight.
help me bring supers back into the sunlight. So he basically wants to bring superheroes back to fight because they are needed and wanted, and people miss them. So calls upon Elastigirl. Specifically, I don't know why, but I do like that motive because in the first movie we saw Bob get taken in to do more hero stuff, and then Ellen got really upset about it and had to go after him. So I think they're going to do the same thing in this movie, but we're definitely going to explore the almost Mr. Nanny, I think it's called, the movie Mr. Nanny, like aspect where he has to stay home with the kids and be the nanny. So that's a really cool scene or idea that I really am curious to see how they pull that off. Sorry about that cut. The video stopped because that happens a lot because I use Bandicam to record. I can only record up to 10 minutes because I'm not paying for it because that's dumb. I could just put these clips together. So if you guys ever watch my videos and see like a little split cut, don't worry about that. That's either because of editing or because of the video ended. So that's the last time I'm going to mention that because I mentioned it in the previous videos I've recorded. But anyway, we're just going to jump right into it. And we see this new bike, the Elastigirl bike, with the actual old logo and even Ellen in her old costume. And I just noticed Jack Jack, he looks bald in that shot, but he still looks adorable. And I don't know, I guess this is their new house, but I really like the look of this bike. I like the sleek design. It kind of reminds me of Akira. Jimmy, if you're watching this video, you will appreciate that reference, or anybody that is a fan of Akira. But I feel like you're all unfamiliar with that. But that's a great movie. You should go check it out. But we move on.
Elastigirl.
Bye, sweetie.
I'll watch the kids, no problem.
That's not the way you're supposed to do it, Dad. They want us to do it this
I don't
way.
know that way. Why would they change math? Math is math. Math is math.
That's a really funny scene because I've actually experienced that with my parents, where I think everybody has actually, where a kid comes home from school and he's just like, hey Dad, could you help me out with this homework, this math homework? And then he's just like, yeah, come on, sit down. And then they try to teach you how to do it, and it's just like, we didn't learn that way. We won't, but the teacher wants us to do it this way, and the dad's just like, well, I don't know how to do it that way, so I guess you're on your own. And it's a fun, what is it? I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of the word. Relatable moment. There we go. I knew it would come to me eventually. It's a very relatable moment, so every kid can relate. I also like this next scene.
All over Dusseldorf. Dussels are dozing. Their eyelids so heavy, they're drooping.
Closing.
That's another scene where he's really tired of being the mom of the household and reading to the kids, well, specifically Jack and helping them with their homework and stuff. But the one thing I really like about this scene is if you look at his shirt, it's really wrinkled, and I just love that detail. Pixar is so good with their detail, and that's one thing that they do in every movie. They try to get they try to advance their technology. Like with Finding Dory, it was Hank the octopus. He was like the hardest thing that Pixar's ever had to animate. He had like over 100 movements. And then there was Sully from Monsters Inc. All the hairs on his body. He had like, I think, something close to 1.2 billion hairs on his body that they had to animate. And then they also had, I'm trying to think of one more thing, the lamp, the Pixar lamp. Basically because they had to make that look realistic, like an actual desk lamp, and that was really difficult for them to animate, especially since it was one of their first, if not their first, animation they've ever done. And it turned out really, really well, and that's why I like Pixar so much. Pixar is my favorite animation studio, right next to DreamWorks. DreamWorks is really good. But we move on.
I couldn't have done this if you hadn't taken over so well.
I've got to succeed so she can succeed.
That's a cool line, because he's saying I have to succeed in being a parent so that she can succeed in being a hero, because if we can both bounce off of each other like that, then it'll really help our relationship. And we see Elastigirl going through the streets, and she's got some fans, and then the finish off the other line that Bob said.
We can succeed.
When he says we, he means supers in general, because he helps Ellen know that she can be safe with Bob at home, and therefore Ellen can do her job into bringing superheroes back into the light. So that's what he means by we. Again, the wrinkles on his shirt are really cool. We get next scene, which is where Lucius, or Frozone, sees Jack's power, one of his powers, for the first time, which is teleportation. Jack has a million powers. He can turn into a devil, he can shoot lasers out of his eyes, electricity, fire, teleportation. He's got so many abilities, and there's a video online, I'll link it in the description, about how the supers get their powers, other than Frozone, Bob, and Ellen, because they were all genetically modified by the government. But when they have kids, their kids get powers, and it basically just, the power is replicated through their personality. So it's really cool to find that out. I'll link it in the description. It's a really good video. I highly recommend it. You go watch it after this video. So Jack teleports away, and Bob knows where he goes. There.
But I can't keep giving him cookies.
And then we see another one of Jack's powers, which I mentioned. He turns into like a demon, and I love this scene. I just paused on because Lucius is like, "Oh my God, your kid's insane, literally." And then we see Jack lunge at Bob, and I love how he's just so calm about it. He's just like, hey, stop biting me, you know. So it shows that this has happened before, and Bob is very stressed. So
Properly, parenting is
get Edna Mode again, who is, I think, another one of another people's favorite of the first Incredibles, and it's the same voice actor. It's the director of The Incredibles, by the way. Fun fact if you didn't know that.
their heroic act.
And there we got to see 3 of his powers. You saw the fire, the electricity, and the lasers. You got 2 elemental powers, and then just lasers, because every superhero has lasers now. And I think this is the scene where Bob first realizes Jack Jack has powers, because if you look at the confusion on his face, he's like, oh my god, that just happened, you have powers. Also, I think this is the scene where, if you look at the concept art that this movie, that the Pixar released before they released this trailer, will be somewhere on screen, I guess right here. You can see that there is a raccoon in the poster. A lot of people don't know what that is. They think Jack Jack brings it in because he's outside playing with it, and then the raccoon becomes their pet. I think this is that scene, because if you see, they're outside of their house, and I think Jack Jack was playing with a raccoon, and Bob got scared that the raccoon would like bite or hurt Jack Jack, and then he picked him up, and then these powers happened, and then Bob was like, wow, you have powers. So and then we move on.
Done properly.
And we get a cute scene with Jack Jack laughing, holding a teddy bear, and then we get the final beat of the song, and it says in theaters June 15th. So I'm really excited for this movie. Again, I was really worried about how this movie would play out, because Incredibles is my favorite movie of all time. But it looks good. I really like the animation. I like the story that's going on, and I like the voice acting. The voice acting is great. Again. Also, I forgot that if we go to this guy again, where is he? He's right there. This guy. I don't know his first name, but his last name is Dever, I think, which is Devtech, his plane, which you can see in the previous shot right here. Devtech. He has a sister in this movie called Evelyn Dever, and if you read it on screen, I will put her name, and then I will put what it sounds like. It's her name, Evelyn Dever, sounds like evil endeavor, so she might be the bad guy. But you never know. He could come back to be the bad guy, but he could also be the red herring, where we see him and he feels like the bad guy, but then his sister seems like the good guy, but then they switch. So that'll be pretty interesting to see how they do that. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this trailer, Incredibles 2, June 2018. So I'm really excited for this movie. I'm definitely going to go see it. I'm going to be probably one of the oldest, if not the oldest, kid in this, or guy in this theater. So, but I don't know. Just keep your babies away from this movie, because I don't want to be watching a movie and have a baby cry, and then it ruins the experience, because, you know, that's just horrible. But, yeah, anyway, I'm not going to talk too much anymore. So if you guys are interested in this movie, leave a comment down below and tell me if you're excited for it. If I miss anything, leave a comment down below. And any other trailer breakdowns or movie reviews you would like to see me do, comment down below what you would like to see me do. Or if I've already done it, there will be a link in the description where you can watch that video. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.